right. So let's pick up a little bit where you left off. You were talking about the worship that you guys were doing towards the end. Especially at the end of the day, you guys were doing hands-on. You were doing a lot of prayer, and then you mentioned Real Talk, a project that you started to work on. So kind of talk
One
about
of my favorite activities that we did was called Real Talk. And what we did was divide the girls and the boys between two groups. And so we did essentially 4 sessions. We did 2 with the girls, 2 with the boys. So the first session was for the younger girls, probably like 10 to 13. The next one, right, the next one was maybe 14 to 20, something like that, because we had a large age range. It was from 10 to 20 years old.
Wow.
And so what we did was have a few camp counselors sit in a circle with all of the girls, and the guys did the same thing with the boys. We gave them the opportunity to write down questions anonymously, put them into a box for us to pick out, read, and answer from a biblical perspective. So as teenagers, they have a lot of curiosities about dating, about drugs, about sex, about, divorce, any life struggles, and as we know, it's difficult being a teenager as it is. And a lot of the times they're not comfortable speaking with their parents or their church. So it was a great opportunity for them to just anonymously get those questions out there and then gave us the opportunity to address like hard issues that they're dealing with. And the kids just really appreciated that. At the end, we had some kids ask if they could speak to us personally, and then they shared real life struggles that they were dealing with, and they needed us to kind of help guide them through that a little more. So the guys, I don't know if you were in on that one. Okay, the guys did the same thing. And for me, that was just amazing. It was so valuable. It's like, okay, let's get to the real issues. All this other stuff is great, but let's communicate.
Right.
And then at the end, we left the box of questions that we couldn't get to with the pastors there in Ukraine so that they can continue to address those issues and be more in tune with their youth, without compromising anybody's identity.
Right, and Margot's kind of talk about that because since you were a part of that experience and you're a fellow teen yourself, so how was that? Was it easier for you to be able to identify with what they were going through, and like what kind of feedback were you able to share?
Yeah, of course. I wish we did it for longer. We only got to do it a little bit. There's so much to talk about. Yeah. And so there was like 4 counselors in our group, and we had the older teenagers, so obviously bigger problems. I spoke more about divorce because we both have backgrounds in divorce, and they spoke more about other things. And so it was good. I feel like since I was a teenager, they could kind of connect a little bit more because it's different from when you're talking to somebody 30 years older than you than versus someone who's your age, who's been dealing with those things. A lot of kids were going through divorce, and so it was nice to have that age close together so you can listen a little bit more. So it was very nice.
Yeah. We also spent the 4th of July in Ukraine.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Marcos really took the lead on that.
Yeah, so the 4th of July was exciting. And we had several fun events during the week, but the 4th of July was kind of my brainchild. Very patriotic. And so I was like, guys, we need to do something for the 4th of July. We can't just not do anything. Because the whole week they're learning English, they're doing all this stuff. And we're like, this is the American holiday. We have to do it. And so I got together with different groups. And so I actually got with the painting class, and we made American flags. So the whole class made flags. And so,
a few of those up there.
Yeah, well, a couple. So we had like 15 nice flags that the kids painted. I went to the dance class, and I taught some like funny American dances to the dance class. So I taught them
did you dance? That's big.
I taught them like the chicken dance and Cotton Eye Joe, and like fun, just little things that they could pick up. And then we had like a little celebration service that night on the 4th of July. And so we had the flags, we had the dances.
Headbands, bandanas.
Yes. Yeah, we had bandanas. We had like candles with fireworks. And then something that we did is, because we were inside the tent, we couldn't do like big fireworks. And so, that's such a 4th of July thing. So what we did is we actually did fireworks of words and prayers kind of. So how it worked is we all got together really tight in a big circle, and I told them I want everybody to pick one word that's a prayer, a goal, a dream, a hope, something that you want, something that you're hoping for, you're wishing for. And everybody had the one word, they didn't say it. So we got all together, and then we did 3, 2, 1, and everybody shouted up their word. So it was like a big firework of hopes and dreams inside the tent. So it was a really nice and special day. Yeah.
And we can't forget, we had a good old barbecue, good old American barbecue that day. Thank you, Jesus. Because their food is unique and different than ours.
Right.
So it was very, very nice to see a good old chicken and potatoes, and I was hallelujah.
Wow. So I mean, how did they respond to being able to eat your food though? Like, given the difference in the cuisine, did they enjoy eating?
They loved it.
They put a beautiful spread. We have pictures and videos of, I mean, they went all out, to be honest with you. They set up the table, the serving table, beautiful, and the food was delicious, and they wouldn't let us help. You know, every day we help in every area, but that night they served us. So we just got to sit, and they would bring food and drinks, and it was really, really special.
The people there were just beautiful people, not just physically. Obviously, they're beautiful, but their hearts were just so big. They treated us so kindly. They were very welcoming to us. They were just very sweet and open to learn. And you have that painting? This lady, one of the camp counselors, she was a mom. She had this vision of a little boy speaking into Jesus's ear, saying, "I love you, Father." And she gifted this to me. Oh my gosh, that was so special to us.
Right.
But she was very special to me. Her name is Galina, and she said something so important. You know, she said for so many years they were taught a certain perspective about the Americans, you know, and she said over the last so many years they've been realizing like how great America is and how special the people here are. And so she was so happy to meet us and spend so much time with us, and she was just loving on us and saying like their perception of us has changed so much. You know, really they're still a baby country, but she said their love for us is so strong. And so they really wanted that sense of unity. And so a lot of the paintings they made behind us, they kind of incorporated the American flag with the Ukrainian flag, which is yellow and blue. And the whole week, it was just about us like really creating a family and learning from each other, because we equally learned so much from them. We also have our own perspective of the Russians and the Ukrainians, and we have misconceptions about them. And so the whole week, everybody was just learning about each other's culture, language, you know, emotions, and crafts. And so we were equally blessed. We didn't just go there to impart. They really did impart on us as well.
One thing that was special is we shared the 4th of July with them. And then like a couple of days later, it was Friday, Shabbat, Jewish Shabbat. And so they're Messianic Jews, but they still celebrate and observe Shabbat. So we had a big Shabbat Shalom like festival that night, and they actually asked the guys on the American team to be a part and to wear the traditional clothes and to give a prayer in the traditional manner. And so that was really special doing it together. And we had a really fun time, really fun dances and traditions and that service. And so it was really a sharing of cultures and views, and it was nice.
I just want to add something about this picture, and this is before Jenny walked in, when the lady gave us this picture. And she wrote here, "I love you, Father." And she was sharing with me about how she noticed how the men in our group, you know, we impart the Father's love to those children. And how in their culture they have lost that, the Father had lost that identity, because of the issues with the economy, and a lot of the men go into, you know, alcohol and drugs, and they abandon their children and their family. And that was really dear to me in my heart, because, you know, I'm like, I wanted to go over there and impart to them hope. And obviously I got a lot of things to work in my own personal life, and to be a good father to my children and to be a good husband. But if I was able to impart to them a little piece of the Father's heart, and for them to have hope that one day they'll have that relationship with God, even though they might not have that with their own, biological father, then I think we'll do some good. And that's what this picture represents to me, because that's what the lady was sharing with me, that she felt very encouraged to know that their children that they counseled with, that they had hope, after a few days. So.
Well, she in particular lost her husband to alcoholism, and so she was left as a single mom with 2 daughters, and that was very heart-wrenching for the family. And so they shared that with us, and they're still struggling with a broken heart, but they're really leaning on God and living in faith. And so that was very significant for her to paint that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So now I want to touch on like the more personal notes for you guys in terms of your takeaways. So I'll start with Marcos and go down, but as you guys mentioned, you guys went to, impart the gospel. You guys taught them very practical things in terms of English, the arts and stuff like that. But what spiritual lessons did you come away with personally after the trip? So I'll start with you, Marcos.
Definitely a lot. It really, really changed a lot of things, and it was like just shifting the perception of everything. And so I was surrounded by 21 people on our team that were like amazing. They're just fiery for God. And so I learned a lot, and I had a lot of firsts with the Lord, and I started getting visions, and it was amazing, everything. And then really getting to connect with the kids beyond language, because you can't talk to them. So all you can do is just love them, play with them, be with them. And so I really got to connect with a lot of them as brothers and sisters, and you just feel so protective. So it was a lot of firsts for everybody, and then being able to share that with my team and pray together and work together and hear their encouragement. So I just left way more spiritually mature than I got there, and I just feel so much closer to God after leaving. So we imparted to them, but really it was for me.
Awesome.
Well, I like how you said spiritual maturity, because I think a lot of us walked away with that also. You go there thinking that you're already spiritually mature, you're on the leadership team, but God proved to me as well that there's so much room for growing, and He really taught me even more so to trust in Him more. Mm-hmm. And I'm learning to listen to His voice more, and I did on this trip, because when you said go to Ukraine, I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I going to Ukraine? We had so many other options. But He said, go to Ukraine, and He gave me visions and dreams, and I listened, and He blessed me in listening with a whole new family in Ukraine. And so He really taught me more about listening to Him, walking more in faith. And Marcos mentioned being with a very fiery team, and we were, and a lot of them were at the pastoral level. And we're not. We're just very humble Christians. We're moms, dads. We're working. We're not in full-time ministry. We're not pastors at a church. So it was a little intimidating at first. And then you start to wonder if, I started to wonder, am I worthy enough? Should I be in a leadership position? Am I doing the right thing? And God said, you are. I told you to come here. You're being obedient. Now let the Holy Spirit take over. So there are references to the little bush, God using the little bush to talk to Moses. And it doesn't have to be something huge and great. It doesn't have to be a pastor. He uses everybody as long as they're willing to be obedient and do His work. And so I really took that away from this trip, along with many other things. But that was the primary lesson for me, was to listen and just be confident in the Lord. Okay.
I just want to add to all that amazing stuff they said, how God just first of all orchestrated all the members, as I mentioned earlier. To me, that was amazing, how He put the whole thing together, and how successful it was, ministering to the children and collaborating also with their team that we never met before, and we're trying to communicate with them via email, which is a very, very challenging thing.
Yeah.
But the connection on this trip, unlike my other trips that I've taken, it was very special. I don't know what God is doing, to be honest with you. I am not here prepared to say what he's doing. I don't have it all fleshed out, but I can tell you that for Jenny and I, we will most likely go back. And what level and how, we're not sure yet. But we became family. And God really put that really strong in our hearts. Also, it was beautiful to see, we made a big step of faith going over there. It's our slowest season for both of our businesses. So it wasn't an ideal time for us to go, if you know what I mean. So we just made a step of faith and we did it. But to be able to serve together as a family, to be able to see my son flourish, and he's got the intellect, and he's a genius, and he's got all the book knowledge, and he's an amazing kid, but to add the God factor, which he's been serving God, but now he's in a different level. Now is just totally different, and as he expressed, and he just learned so many things, and God used him so many ways and stretched him out beyond his intellect. And that was beautiful to see him do it with my wife as a team. And our classes, she did amazing, and our classes were really fun, and the kids loved us. And now we got all these kids from Ukraine that want to connect with us via social media. They're calling us Mama and Papa.
Yeah.
And, I don't do much social media. She does. But now suddenly I'm having to do all this social media stuff just to keep up, because we don't want to abandon them. And we learned that there was a percentage of those children that actually were orphans. And I will add this. I have one little boy. He was probably about 10 years old. His name is Vadim. And I've never been hugged by a child. Well, I should say I've never been hugged by a human being like this kid hugged me. And one of the services, out of the blues, we're standing in the back and we're praying. And he came from the front, ran to me, and suddenly hugged me. And he stayed there probably about 15, 20 minutes, and we both weeping. He doesn't understand what I'm saying. I don't understand what he's saying. He's talking to me and weeping. I'm talking and praying for him. And it was the most beautiful thing I ever seen. And like I said, I have children, I have a wife.
We all three sat there crying.
I've never seen anything like it, so that was very special.
Wow.
I'd like to touch again on the financial aspect of it. Most people think that missionaries are supported strictly by the church. And while the church does try to contribute to the missionaries' missions, for the most part, we pay for our own trips. So for a family of 3, it was very costly for us to go out to Ukraine, not only take time off of work, but to pay for the actual trip itself. And so we didn't do a whole lot of fundraising. We did a little. So we did raise some money to purchase some of the goods that we brought over there, some of the learning supplies. And then in addition, we did an items fundraiser, or items drive, you would call it. And so I actually had a greater response to the items drive. And I don't want people to think that's not good enough. That was just as good as the fundraiser, which is essential. We need to do more of it. But the items that were donated, oh my goodness, they were so appreciated by the children. We brought them, stuffed animals and toys and
stickers.
Oh my goodness, stickers are just internationally wonderful to children. Okay, so you cannot go wrong with stickers. Yep. But we brought peanut butter, and then we were able to buy some of the snacks over there for the kids. And we also had a lot of people donate some of the learning supplies. So we had books and flashcards and alphabet strips and like laptop stands, and we just had all kinds of things donated. That got to suitcases. People think, they're going to toss a suitcase because it has a hole. Don't toss it. We can use it because we have to transport these things out there. So we really had a lot of people donate. One of our friends, Sue Baylor, she gave us so many suitcases and all kinds of items. We're so appreciative of her and everybody that donated. These kids they really loved everything that we brought there. And what can I say? We're just so grateful. I don't want that to go unnoticed. You know, the donations were very helpful. And like I said earlier, anything that was left over at the end of the camp, we sent it to an orphanage. So nothing went to waste. So thank you to everyone who donated
and all the
items or money to our trip. It was all very well spent, and there are a lot of kids appreciating them. And we actually sent them to 2 other countries too. I had so much stuff that we ourselves couldn't bring that we ended up sending stuff to Guatemala and to Nicaragua. So there are little Guatemalan children in the middle of the jungle playing with the toys that you sent them. Even eyeglasses were given out. And so we're just so grateful for all of our sponsors.
Awesome. So I definitely want to go back to something you guys touched on a minute ago, but I want to get Marcos's perspective on it. How did it feel for you to be able to go on a mission trip as a family? And I mean, obviously your perspective as a son with the parents, and there might be a slight difference of opinion, but how did it feel to be there with your parents, being able to serve together in unity, as was the theme? How did it feel for you to be able to do that?
Well, it was funny because we were so busy and we each had our own things. Everybody on the team had their own responsibilities. We almost didn't even see each other that much. We would pass each other. Be like, oh, I'm going to class. I'm going to class. Bye. No, but it was really cool being able to go to them throughout the week and just kind of relax in there with them and not feel like totally surrounded by strangers. And so it was good to go together. I felt really adult-y. The team, because I had so much responsibility, and the team really just treated me as an equal instead of just like a teenager or a kid. So I really felt like an equal. So it was interesting to have like an equal dynamic with them instead of like the parent-child, because all our responsibilities were the same and equal, and we had our different. So it was an interesting look at our relationship. So I appreciated that. I liked that.
He actually worked more than we did.
Yeah, we learned that.
and the marching band. He was teaching all day long.
Yeah, we definitely learned that from the last interview. Marcos is doing the most.
He was probably one of, if not the only one on our team that never skipped a beat. I mean, he was at every meeting, every worship session, every prayer, every class. He didn't get sick, thank God. He was one of the only ones that didn't get sick. And I was totally impressed by him.
Awesome. And then, my last main question for you, Marcos, because I know you're about to head off to school. So how was, knowing that you're going to head off to school, how was this experience for you? And do you feel it prepared you internally for what you're going to experience in college?
Definitely. It was a big regrouping. And when you go through high school, things start spraying and spreading out. And so it was a really good solidifying event that just kind of reminded me of all these things and even more so. And so now I feel really, really good, real prepared, real strong going into college and university. And so it was a good refresher and a good reminder of everything, and even more to the max. So it was perfect timing.
Awesome. And then anything else that you guys want to share with the audience that maybe we didn't cover before? Yeah,
There's a lot.
I think she got a cover.
Did we miss anything?
Did you?
No, it's funny because you were talking about connecting with the kids after, and we've all been talking to the kids all day, every day. And so actually right before the interview, I was playing a game with one of the kids from camp that I connected with. We were just playing a game on our phone, halfway across the world, different time zones. But he texted me, and broken English, not perfect English. And I'm trying to use the translator, trying to figure it out. He's like, oh, here's my favorite game. Can you play it with me? So we were playing a game. Just those little things, connecting and getting to know kids, and it's nice.
Well, we didn't want to go there. Well, first of all, this trip was unique because we spent 10 days with the same group of kids for 15 to 20 hours a day. So we really bonded with them at a different level compared to other missions trips where you'll see a different group of people every day most of the time. So, one of the things about discipling to others is that you don't want to just now bring them into the kingdom and then abandon them and then let them figure everything out on their own, because then they become a spiritual orphan in that sense, you know. So it's important to maintain the relationship with them and continue to be there as a spiritual leader for them. So we are super grateful for social media because a lot of those kids, you know, now it's been about 4 weeks that we've been home, and we've been speaking to a lot of them pretty regularly. And we've established with them that they can always reach out to us with questions, concerns, or just if they want to share something, talk, whatever it is. And yeah, we do have to use Google Translate.
Thank God for Google Translate.
But actually, some of the people on our team speak Russian, so they're a resource for us if we need them. But yeah, we're so grateful for that, and we look forward to seeing them again. You know, when we left, so many of the kids and even the leaders really, they asked us to come back. You know, very sincerely, they were like, please come back, because of that bond that we formed. So now we kind of feel like we have a moral responsibility to the people that we met there, because we did bond with them, and we do feel like we have a Ukrainian family now. So, and then of course we have our pastor Bill over there, who is the missionary father to orphans. And so we definitely would like to continue to support his organization, which has an ongoing need, because he has truly dedicated his life to orphans in Ukraine. I mean, he's not working. He's literally taking care of children and ministering to children. And it's a huge need over there. Kids are desperate for love and attention and education. And
He's actually adopting a couple of the boys.
He is. He works
He's in the process of...
He worked in an orphanage the first year, and he left with 4 teenagers.
Wow.
And Sergey, who's in his 30s, he was one of the caretakers. So he left there with 5 people that he's personally taking care of.
Yes.
So we'd love to share the information for his organization, because there are a lot of expenses that come with missionary work, you know, and you're doing not only God's work. I mean, this is not just for people that believe in God. This is anybody who's a humanitarian and cares about humans, you know, human beings that have strong needs. So I don't want to just close it off to anybody who is a spiritual believer. You know, this is a message to all humanitarians. And obviously there are needs everywhere, but this is the one that we addressed this year. Let's see where God takes us next year. But I'll guarantee you we're going back to Ukraine at some point.
In preparation, I started learning a little bit of Russian myself.
Oh, yes?
Just so I can begin to communicate a little bit. So, я сейчас учу русский. Мне очень нравится говорить по-русски, потому что это весело и по-другому. So I said, I'm learning Russian now. I really like speaking Russian because it's fun and it's different. And so I've been trying. It's hard. But it's fun.
And talking about translators, I want to say a special thanks to all the people that translated for us. They were amazing. I don't want to leave anybody behind, but it was Sergey, Olga, Big Max,
Posh.
Who else? Irina. Daniel.
Anastasia. Oh my goodness.
So
yes.
Without them, it would have been impossible to do the connection that we did with the children, because they were like our shadow everywhere we went. So that was really, really nice.
Vicky.
Vicky.
Oh, Vicky. That's
But
right.
here's an awesome example of the Holy Spirit. I'm standing next to Anastasia, and I'm saying, Anastasia, please say this. And she's looking at me. She's like, I just said that in Russian. I'm like, oh my goodness, God is good.
Awesome. So lastly, as we wrap up, kind of give our audience that information so that they can know how to support the organizations.
Okay. Pastor Bill Gentry in Ukraine has an organization called Missionary Father to the Orphans, and we'll provide a photo with his website and link to fundraising. And then, of course, there's Church in the Sun, which is the church that we belong to here in Orlando, Florida. And our other leader, Irina Krelenko, has the Father's Heart Missionary Organization, and we can provide links to their websites.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.